Hello everybody, this is Albert with Green Tea House. I hope you're doing well today. Today we're going to talk about our English breakfast blend that we just dropped in November. If you haven't been here already, come visit us here in New Braunfels, Texas, in Green, a little touristy area outside of New Braunfels. We'd love to meet you. Also subscribe and hit the notification bell right now so these episodes come fresh to you. So we have a very early episode, I believe in the first 15. You can find it here or in the podcast called Tea, Herbals, and Fundamentals, about English tea, like what is English tea? So English tea, of course, is not tea grown in England. There are some tea plantations in England, but as a whole, it doesn't really suit the terroir or the climate to grow in mass the Camellia sinensis plant. English tea is a type of black tea. And if specifically you'll find English breakfast blends, English afternoon blends, there's Irish breakfast blends, Scottish breakfast blends. There's a lot of these breakfast blends. So what do you need to know? Well, we sell, in limited amount, English breakfast blend. Now, the problem with the English breakfast blend is that really it's not a tea. It's an amalgamation of a bunch of black teas. And if you look at the very large companies like Twinings, for example, Lipton and all these, there's some studies that show like their average English breakfast blend has 10 different black teas. And they all kind of formulate them to a super secret formula. They will not release their English breakfast blends because who knows what Frankenstein they do to them. But normally it's going to be an amalgam of a variety of black teas from typically former British colonies. And we've talked about this in the episode of the history of tea, how tea got from China to essentially Darjeeling in that region, and then eventually was exported from English plantations, British plantations, kind of supervised by the East India Company to other English colonies like Malawi and Ceylon and Kenya and whatnot. But the classic English breakfast blend is made up of three pretty well-known black teas. Keeman. Keeman is a Chinese black tea. Assam. Assam is from the Camellia sinensis assamica, the second varietal of the tea bush. The tea bush has Camellia sinensis, which is the China bush, the main bush that we get the majority of our teas from. Then there's the assamica variety. So the Assam is a black tea that is historically grown in Assam, the eastern province of India. So that'll be the second one. And then the third one, it really depends. Sometimes it's a Ceylon, sometimes it's a Kenyan black, sometimes it's even a black from somewhere else. But this is the classic three, the triumvirate, that you would find in an artisanal English breakfast blend. It would be Keeman, Assam, and a Ceylon or a Kenyan. So our English breakfast blend has those three. It's got Keeman, it's got Assam, and it's got a Ceylon. And why these three? Well, Assam tends to be robust and hearty. If you look at the Irish breakfast blends, they tend to put a higher proportion of Assam in their English breakfast blend. Again, if you look at the major tea companies, they're not going to tell you what's in it. But classically, Irish breakfast blends are going to have a higher ratio, like 50% Assam, and then 50%, maybe 2 or 3 or 10 other black teas. So Assam kind of brings that robustness, and the Ceylons kind of bring this light briskness, and then the Keeman is just the classic Chinese black tea that's not smoked. And so the tea that we sell is those three. Now, English breakfast blend, of course, you can sweeten that up with honey or with sugar. You can add milk to it. This is the classic, I wouldn't say afternoon tea party tea, but it's up there with Earl Grey, Lady Grey, and some other ones that you would see at a classic afternoon tea party. We have an episode here talking about what's the difference between high tea and afternoon tea. A lot of people call afternoon tea parties high tea when it's not high tea. High tea was the working class heavy meal with fish or with meat that was served later in the day, and tea was just the liquid component of it. But either way, so you would brew this around 200 degrees, and I would probably brew it for about 5 minutes. That's a good time to do it. And then I would probably steep it a couple of times before you throw it out within a 6-hour window. And as I mentioned, you can milk and sugar it. Caffeine level is going to be moderate to high, simply because you are steeping at a hotter temperature, around 200 to full boil, and you are steeping it longer. And I'll try to remember to put the banner up here for the factors that affect caffeine levels in a tea. So in closing, English breakfast blend is a blend. Normally many light teas are in it, but the classic one is the one that we have, where I handcrafted these 3 into it. You can milk and sweeten this up, and it does have a decent amount of caffeine, and it has a great red liquor to it. Guys, post in the comments what's your history with English breakfast blend. Until next time, take care, God bless.